Namaskar, I Harsh Nania, Assistant Professor, Government Law College, Ajmer. Welcome all of you people in today's lecture. Today we are going to talk about Constitution, and the topic which we are going to discuss is the salient features of Indian Constitution. My dear friends, Indian Constitution is a living organism. It is an entity which has come to fulfill our aims and aspirations, and it is growing with our growing needs, as well as it is trying to fulfill its level best our aims and our objects. As the society is changing, our constitution is also changing. We in a constituent assembly framed this constitution so as to cater the needs of the people of this country. So the various salient features are, first of all, it is a modern constitution. My dear friends, as you all know, our India got freedom in the middle 20th century. So our constitution framers had the opportunity to examine all the constitutions throughout the globe. So what was done was extensive study of all the constitutions was made, and the best which could be done was done, and so as to fulfill our needs and desires, and the things which were previously not done were tried to be achieved. So our constitution framers, after studying all the constitutions, brought forth the best of the best, and the resultant effect was this. The second characteristic feature is our constitution is one of the lengthiest and bulkiest one. Obviously, for a country which is as large as this, a country needs to have a very complex structure which includes the most of the details, because it was necessary, because we needed a documented form of the provisions, so it was done. And also we just received freedom, so we wanted to ensure to the people that whatever we are going to do will be written. So therefore it is a written constitution which promises to the people at large, and therefore we have this constitution before us. Thereafter, let me talk about the other features. Our constitution is a federal constitution. Yes, this is a topic of debate for all of us. Yes, I know. You will tell that it is a federation with strong unitary tendencies. But let me tell you, it is a federalism with its own unique features. It is suiting our own needs and requirements. Our constitution framers studied, and they got the time to study the federalism like the classical one, first of all, that is USA. Thereafter, it studied the constitution of Australia, and thereafter, it also studied the constitution of Canada. So, our constitution is a federal constitution which suits the needs of this country. We have to keep this country a united country. That's why we had these provisions which though pose some rigidity, but it is very essential for our country. Thereafter, let me talk about the preamble. It is yet another feature of this constitution. It contains the enacting clause of the constitution. It also shows the source of our constitution, that who has actually given to us this constitution and for whom this constitution has come forth. That is the people. It also sets out various objects which are provided for our country's government. Also, it provides a particular direction and purpose to our constitution. It is very important, and it is provided in our constitution. People may debate what is the necessity of preamble, but we have created a preamble which shows what purpose this constitution actually has. Thereafter, we have a judiciary, which is very important for any democracy. The tendency of getting a judicial organ is that it, though intervenes in the work of legislature and executive, you might call it from that angle. But we all know without judiciary, it is very difficult to interpret exactly what are those provisions, what specifically have they come for, what purpose it is going to fulfill. So therefore, judiciary is very essential, and ours is a unitary judiciary. It is not a federal one. It is suiting to our country's requirement once again, and it has done remarkable job so as to bring justice to the people of India. Thereafter, it has also removed the confusion which was coming in the way of the governance of this country. Thereafter, let me talk about the various fundamental rights. We had very elaborate provisions before us, so we got this in our document because earlier it was a police state. Now, yet another characteristic feature is it is a welfare state. Yes, we had we had in our mind at the time of our independent struggle that we must do something so as to guarantee to the people of India that they will be not deprived of their rights and liberties and privileges. So our fundamental rights contains detailed provisions. So it is having very unique features of its own. It is not only containing various human rights which are essential for individuals living, but also it contains various other important things which make a person's life really a life, that is to say, a dignified life. So we must know that it does not only contain various fundamental rights for an individual, but also it contains the mechanism to enforce those rights. We do have Article 32, by virtue of which various writs can be issued for the enforcement of the fundamental rights. Also, since I said to you that it is a living organism, so it must develop itself in the times to come so as to fulfill the needs of the people in an efficient manner. We all know that the fundamental right to education came forth afterwards. So it is a stark example of the principle that we are having a living constitution. Thereafter, let me talk to you about various fundamental rights, like the right to sleep is also a fundamental right. In Ramlila Maidan case, we learned that. So, judiciary is also working in this sphere so as to widen the ambit of this right. Various environmental rights have also been brought forth by the judiciary, that is known by each of us. So now let's move on to the next salient feature, that is to say fundamental duty. Yes, our constitution is also containing fundamental duties. What is the need of that? So the need automatically comes, my dear friend, when we talk about rights. The duties will automatically be coming. If you are not talking about your duties, how you can get your rights enforced? So these coexist. Undoubtedly, we don't talk about the duties so much, but those are inherent. And our constitution, by virtue of amendment, has brought forth the fundamental duties as well. The other characteristics of our constitution are it is a sovereign nation. So our constitution provides for a sovereign nation. What is sovereignty? That is, India, while working in international sphere, will not be disturbed at all. That is to say, in the matters of foreign policy, it is only India who will be taking its own decisions and no one else can impose it. Though people can oppose it, but no one can impose it. Also, in terms of internal matters, India is supreme and no one is going to interfere in it. Okay, people may criticize certain moves of a particular government, but as far as the decisions legality is concerned, it is totally okay. So that is why internally also we are sovereign. I'll elaborate it in the later lectures of mine, but it is only a line which I am throwing in the beginning lecture because it is obviously an introductory lecture. Thereafter, let me talk about the other features which are it is a secular nation. Yes, originally our constitution does not. Another salient feature is this that India is a secular nation. Originally, our constitution did not have this provision, but by virtue of 42nd Amendment Act, this was brought forth. Whether it was not there or it is there is not a matter of debate. The thing is whether our constitution had the implied provisions or not. So it was a thing which was inherent in our constitution. Our constitution had the principles of secularism in itself in the original form, but later on we made it more manifest. So, what is the meaning of secularism in Indian context is we all know that it carries forward the ideology of Sarv Dharm Sambhav, that is the coexistence, peaceful coexistence of all the religions, which is a deviation from the European or the Western nations thought, that is a non-interference on the part of religion in the political matters. Thereafter, India is also a socialist nation. Socialist word was also added subsequently by virtue of an amendment. Socialist, if you want to understand this term in letter and spirit, we must refer to the judgment of D.S. Nakara versus Union of India. In this judgment, the Supreme Court rightly quoted that to reduce the inequalities in income is the target of our nation. So, what should be done is when the majority is lacking in terms of the salary or the income or status or opportunity, we must provide a platform to all the people so that they can compete in a very healthy manner. So this is socialist in our Indian context. Thereafter, we do have the provisions for election. That is, as soon as a person reaches the age of majority, a person has the right to vote. It is based on the universal adulthood franchise principle. So, we do have an election commission which prepares, which does the work of preparing the election role, and also we do have an election commission which works so as to ensure that there are free and fair elections held in the country. Also, democracy is yet another feature of the constitution. We are a democratic nation. The definition of democracy is known to one and all: government by the people, for the people, and of the people. So, in a democratic nation, the government has a very vital role to perform. We are also a republic nation. This is yet another salient feature. Republic means the head of the state is not a hereditary monarch, but rather it is elected or selected through a particular mechanism. Thereafter, let me talk about the other salient features of our constitution. Is that it is a blend, unique blend of rigidity as well as flexibility. Various provisions can be amended very easily. Thereafter, there are some provisions which cannot be amended so easily but can be amended. And then comes into picture that there are certain provisions which cannot be amended in an easy manner. Rather, you need the assent of the legislatures of half or more than half of the states. So, in order to fulfill the needs of the people of India, which are going to change in future and which will change, so the popular government of the day will try to keep up to the ambitions of the people by making or bringing forward the various amendments. For example, GST was yet another amendment of the constitution which brought forth a unified tax structure for the whole of the nation. So that gives us an understanding of the fact that we need to have a very flexible structure. Also, we need to have a rigid structure at times, because if it is amended very frequently and very easily, then certain important provisions which form the soul of the constitution can be changed. So therefore, we need to have a blend of rigidity as well as flexibility. We do have the various principles, such as the principle of rule of law in our constitution. It is imbibed very deeply that no matters what, the rule of law is above all. No persons are paramount in this nation, but what is paramount is the rule of law. It must prevail so as to ensure justice. Also, we do have the principle of constitutionalism imbibed in our country. By having a constitution, we cannot fulfill the aims and aspirations of the people, because if tomorrow some dictator comes into picture, what will be happening of that constitution? We all know what happened in Germany. So we don't want those things to happen in our nation. So that is why we do have constitutionalism. Constitutionalism is implied limitations upon the government of the day. So, by having this principle in our constitution, there are various checks and balances so as to ensure individual liberty and freedom. So, therefore, not only constitution is required, but also there is a very important need of constitutionalism. It ensures automatic checks and balances. It lays various restrictions upon the government, as well as thereby it ensures the individual's liberty and life. Thank you for listening so carefully and so patiently. We will continue our journey in the subsequent lectures. Please do subscribe, like, share, and comment so that we can better ourselves in times to come.